If you're looking for a super fast and efficient way to clean up those yellow hazy headlights, then the Cerakote Headlight Kit may be the perfect choice for you. Now, as a professional car detailer for 18 years now, this is not typically what I have used in the past. I typically will sand down the whole surface of the lens, really removing all of the contamination that's on the surface that's just built up from being in traffic, exhaust fumes hitting those front headlights, you know, the sun, moisture, all that kind of stuff, creating oxidation in the softer plastic of the lens. Back in the day, they were glass and they didn't do this as much. Now they're plastic. The softer plastic oxidizes faster, and this is what we have to deal with. So again, my process in the past was always to color sand everything down, polish it all the way back out, and then put some sort of protective coating on it. Now, Cerakote is known for their ceramic protection, and they built this kit to work with their ceramic so that you get long-lasting, effective cleaning of your headlight lenses. So right off the bat, let's go ahead and pop this box open and see what you get inside. So this kit is amazing because it's an all-in-one kit. You don't have to have any other additional tools. Now you get 6 packs of their oxidizer remover wipes. Now these are awesome. When you're using the product, you'll actually apply this on there. It's gonna help dissolve the oxidation that's on the lens. Again, there's 2 ways to do everything in car detailing. There's mechanical and chemical. This is more on the chemical side. Instead of sanding through everything, you're using a less aggressive approach and using that chemical to help dissolve that stuff out. We will still sand later, but we'll get into that. Now those oxidation remover wipes are step 1 of the process. Again, we will get into the whole process of this. We're just going through the contents right now. Step 2 though will be the sanding stage, and that is where you get a little sanding prep pad, which is really easy to use. And then you also get 4 sanding discs. 2 of them are gonna be a 2000 grit and 2 of them will be a 3000 grit. After the sanding stage, we get into step number 3, which will be applying the ceramic and all that protection. You're basically resealing that headlight so you don't have the oxidation come back immediately. So you get 2 ceramic clear coat wipes. And then additionally, they give you 2 sets of gloves, so 4 gloves total. So now let's go ahead and get into the process, and I'm going to include some pro tips that I definitely recommend so that you can get the best results possible. So to get started, you want to prep the area, and what you want to do there is do a light wash of the headlight itself, both headlights. You don't want any dirt and grime sitting on the surface because you don't want any dirt on there that you're going to be scrubbing into the lens. So make sure to get all that stuff off so you have a nice clean surface that you're working on. Additionally, you want to go ahead and pop the hood. That way it gives you more access, not on every car, but in most cars, that's going to give you more access and kind of keep the hood away from the headlights so you have more room to work. And the final prep stage here is you can tape off the edges just using some basic masking tape around the headlight lens. Again, we will be getting into chemicals and sanding, so you want to make sure that the surface and the painted area around it are safe. Me personally, I'm not going to tape it off. I've been doing this a very, very long time. I'm very, very comfortable in my ability to control the area that I'm working on, but in this situation, we're just going straight like this. Okay, so for step number 1, I'm just going to go ahead and read the directions to you directly, and then I'll add in any special tips that I would recommend doing, again, to get the best result possible. So right on the instructions, the first thing it does say is a special note, and it says, for best results, Cerakote Headlight Restoration should be applied in the shade. Now, I actually recommend doing it indoors if you can. If you can pull it into your garage, that's even better. Because the ceramic has a cure time after you apply it, you want to let it just sit without any, moisture in the air or anything like that getting onto it for, 60 minutes, I think they say. The longer the better, but you do want to give it that cure time, so indoors would be best. And one other note is a spray bottle with water or a hose and several clean dry towels are needed. Again, you can actually just use a bucket of water, wipe it down, whatever else, but have some towels handy, especially if you need to wipe up any residual material from the chemicals that get onto the paint. You can wipe them up real quickly and you'll be fine. Using the oxidation remover wipe, rub each headlight in a circular scrubbing motion on all areas of the lens. During this process, any oxidation in the lens will be extracted and the wipe may turn yellow. Move on to the next oxidation remover when the current wipe becomes yellow and soiled. Use of all the wipes to ensure your headlights are as clean as possible. Don't worry if your wipes are still yellow as the next step will remove any remaining oxidation. Now, they state to use it in a circular motion, and I do agree with that. It gives you just a nice clean pattern and ensures that you're getting every inch of the surface area. However, I will state that make sure you pay attention to the edges. Very, very important. I've seen so many times where people that don't do this normally, they don't spend enough time and care on those edges. And then the headlight looks good, except the edges have a little bit of stuff where they miss. So I'll do a circular motion, and then I will go around the border of the lens a few times, and then I'll go back and forth just to make sure everything is good to go. As you can tell, guys, as this is getting saturated, it's the chemical in it is actually pulling a bunch of the stuff out. The little wipe has some agitation to it as well, but the chemical is really really doing the job here and helping to extract all of the yellow stuff. Step number 2, again, is the sanding stage. So I just basically give it a quick wipe just to pick up any residual moisture from the lens from that initial wipe. So I do that, and then we move on to sanding. So we're gonna apply the red disc first. That's the 2000 grit. That's the more aggressive sanding disc. So when we're sanding, we want to do it wet. So I'm going to be using a spray bottle here. I'm just going to spray the surface of the lens and then also my sanding disc. Now for this, I like to go side to side and up and down. I don't want to do a circular motion. Typically with the 2000, I'm gonna go side to side, and then when I switch to the 3000, I'll go up and down, just so I can see visually where I'm leaving marks behind. Again, because of this ceramic product from Cerakote, it actually uses a mechanical application process, meaning that it needs something to grab a hold of. So even though you're leaving some of these sanding marks in, that's actually a benefit. It's gonna fill those in when we apply the ceramic, and it's gonna hold on longer because it has some grooves in there to grab onto. Now here's another pro tip for step number 2, and that is use your spray bottle to rinse the surface. So as you can see, as I'm scrubbing here, a bunch of stuff is, more and more yellow is coming out. It's getting kind of chalky and thicker. Use that spray bottle now to spray that off, to rinse that lens down so that you're not constantly rubbing all that excess material back into it. You rinse that off, and then it gives you a fresh surface so you can continue sanding and get the best result possible. Once you're done with the red, switch over to the gray, which is that 3000 grit pad, and do the same thing. You can also remove the sanding disc if needed to get into the tighter corner spots. Remove it off the pad, fold it in half, and then you can go in by hand and get into all the tight spots. So you're getting a nice, clean, consistent coverage across the board. You want to make sure that the whole lens is foggy now after that portion. If there are any spots that are shiny, obviously depending on the condition of the lens before you started, if there's anything that's shiny, you want to keep sanding so that you're making sure that the whole surface of the lens has been sanded consistently throughout. Now moving on to step number 3, and that is applying the ceramic. But before we do that, pro tip again, big feature here is you want to make sure that the surface and the surrounding area is completely dry. So I'm going to grab a little heated dryer here. You can use anything here. You can just leave it out in the sun, make sure it dries up, but you don't want any pooling water anywhere, because when you go to apply the ceramic, if you pick up any of that water, you don't want that mixing in with the ceramic. It's going to leave streaks. It's not going to perform at its best. So make sure it's dry. I spend a good amount of time here really focusing in and making sure that the whole surface area around that lens is dry so I don't have any contamination from water going into the ceramic. Now for step number 3, again, I'm just gonna read the directions here. It says to put on the second pair of gloves so that you have a nice clean surface, right? You don't want any of the contamination from the other stuff on your gloves. New pair of gloves, and you are going to apply the coating moving horizontally from top to bottom and carefully wipe the coating in a single direction using a 50% overlapping technique. For me, again, if you're out of the sun and working in a garage or in the shade, it's very easy to apply this product. You do want to make sure you're having a 50% overlap just so you're getting nice consistent coverage. But I don't just kind of go in one direction and do it that way. I typically will start applying it. I like to start on the edges. Again, edges are very important, and you want to make sure you're getting good, clean coverage over those. Every headlight is a different shape, so focus on the area and make sure you get that done properly. From there, I will start my 50% wipe, meaning I'm going to wipe this section and then I'm going to come down 50%. So I'm doing half overlap between each wipe, ensuring again for a nice consistent clean coverage of the whole lens using that ceramic product. And the last step, guys, it does say allow the Cerakote ceramic clear coating to dry for a minimum of 60 minutes before drying or exposing them to any moisture. If the clear coat gets on paint, don't worry, just wipe it off immediately with a clean and dry towel. This kit works amazingly well, and it takes out a step. Normally, again, I would just start color sanding and I would go more aggressive. I'd go down to like an 800 grit in the situation for headlights that look like this. I'd go 800, 1000, 15, 2000, 3000. In this case, all we had to do was use the chemical, those initial wipes to remove the oxidation, get all that dissolved out and kind of remove the majority of it there. Then we're just doing a basic 2000 and then a 3000 color sanding. Very easy. You're not cutting into that lens too much. It just keeps everything nice and simple. Also, when you do that, like I said before, it gives the ceramic something to grab a hold of. The little texture from sanding the surface, the ceramic will grab onto that stuff and hold for longer. So you're actually gonna get a better result, removing the need to polish, which is what I've always had to do, and a better result because now that product has something to grab onto. I didn't like doing that before because the product that I would use to apply over the top wouldn't fill in the sanding marks. So I would have to make sure that I sand everything out to make it perfect. With this though, it fills those in, gives you the protection, makes it last longer. It's just a win-win all the way around. Okay, so one last thing to mention when you're talking about any sort of headlight restoration service, even with my old way of doing it where I would color sand, polish, reapply, all that kind of good stuff, you want to make sure that you're realistic about the results. These headlights, this is a 2005, I think, Highlander, Toyota Highlander, I can't remember the year, but it's a, almost 20-year-old car. As you saw, the surface of those headlights were extremely contaminated, and there was also some contamination behind it, just from moisture getting in there over the years, dirt and stuff. I know this vehicle has been used off-road on occasion, so be realistic. If you want perfect headlights, you may need to replace them, but if you want an easy, fast and efficient way to make your headlights look brand new again as much as you can from the exterior surface, this kit is phenomenal. I've reviewed some other ones in the past. Those worked as well, but man, Cerakote's ceramic products are great. And again, this kit is just a very easy kit to use, and for like 17 bucks. So very hard to beat the price there, especially, I mean, if you're talking about replacing headlights, it's a few $100 at a minimum. So 17 bucks. Check it out. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it on Amazon. I will have it linked in the description for you guys below. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.